Let's watch the new Infinite Freeze build, 70% meta breaking. Oh boy, this is exactly what I need right now. Let's see. All right. Oh, it puts like the highlights. Woo, that's a lot of damage, chat. By the way, recently I played versus Maw, and I won the 2 matches, by the way. But I think it was not the first time. So it's all about the wins. Then that's a lot of damage right there. Jesus. All right, all right, all right. Okay, this is a godly play. Chat, is he playing versus bots or the? It doesn't feel like it, right? Like it feels like it's real players. 10 kill streak, like just like that. I wondered, chat, how many tries, how many games he did to get this one, because I did the same, chat. I play like 10 matches and then you just put the highlight, you know. Oh, he got the savior. All right, this was a good play, man. It goes again. So why does he do this integrate? 11 kills, 12 kills, chat. There they go. Holy moly, almost. Okay, so he has the necromancer. So look at this, look at this, look at this. He has the glad now. He's gonna pop off now. He's gonna kill everything. There's no way he's gonna kill everything. He's gonna run. He has to run. He has to run. But he does. He's doing a lot of damage, man. Jesus Christ. And he's still going with a 15 kill streak. Oh wait, this is getting me hyped to play some wizard, chat. We changed wizard. Recent. Oh man, look at that damage. Holy moly, chat. Man, like literally 1v9, chat. Or 1v8 in this case. Is he gonna go? Is he gonna go for like 20? Damn, boy.
Hey guys, in this video I wanted to share the most powerful PvP build I've ever created for the Wizard class. I actually reached Legend rank in the Battlegrounds last week with this build with a 77% win rate, and
Alright, chat. Good one. This is a good win rate. This is a very, very good win rate, by the way.
I pretty much exclusively
It's
played
almost
this
the same as
build
mine.
all the way from Silver 1 up until Legend, and because I didn't really want to stop there and I wanted to kind of get a better feel of the build and understand the build a lot more and the best way to play it, I actually ended up playing this build all the way up to rank 1 on my server.
All right.
And you can see that.
Yeah, because here's the deal. When it comes like to any build in any class, the class will perform, or it's going to perform decently well, or it's going to perform extremely well from bronze to then, you know, then you go and you get it like to legend. But after legend, once you get to the very high tier legend, then things kind of change, okay? After 3,500, things kind of change. And as you see, like, we are here with the 68. So the win rate starts dropping, and it's normal. High tier legends games are more difficult because you just face a lot of whales. Like 80% of my matches are against whales.
That my win rate has dropped to 68%, which is kind of to be expected because the matches are a lot more tough and people kind of know that they should look out for wizards and kind of hunt down wizards a lot more. But as you can see,
look at Mo as rank 1. Let's go.
I'm up to 3.7k, almost 3.8k. For Tower War, I actually have a rank 1 here as well with 67% win rate. So
All
this
right.
build is extremely
He's
consistent.
doing well.
So I actually reached a rank 1 legend in the Tower War just within 1.5 days of it coming back. So it's just
I still have to do it, man.
come back, and I'm really happy with these results. So overall, between Tower War and BGs, I've played about 400 matches with this build, so I have a lot of
He's
experience
grinding.
playing it, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of share that information and what I've learned with you guys. So I like to call this build Infinite Freeze because the idea behind it is to try to spam the Arcane Wind freeze as much as possible.
All right.
Basically CC everyone, and I think that this build probably has the highest amount of CC out of any build in the game currently, so it's incredibly powerful. But the downside of the build is that it's incredibly difficult to play, and you will be incredibly squishy because obviously you are a wizard. So when creating this build, I took a lot of inspiration from my own build, which is the Infinite Power build, if you haven't guessed. And
So pretty much, as I can see here, chat is not using teleport. So without teleport, this may be maybe a challenge because like I'm not as experienced wizard as you know. I mainly, but I'm always up to learn new classes. But in the past I played mage in World of Warcraft, so I'm kind of used to a few things. But you always have blink in mage. Without blink it is like pretty much dead in the water. So I don't know, we have to check like if this is gonna work without the teleport.
In that build, it's extremely difficult to play because you do have to spam a lot of buttons, and you also kind of have to be aware of your positioning.
Yeah.
And this build is kind of the same. So just as a disclaimer, if you don't like those kind of builds with the Terminus Facade slow time, which lets you spam all the skills, then I wouldn't recommend to play this build.
All
so
right.
if you do decide to give this build a go, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Let's go ahead and quickly start off with the skills. So for the skills, I'm using Slow Time, Frost Field, Arcane Wind, Disintegrate, and for the primary attack I'm using Magic Missile.
Okay.
You'll notice that I'm not using Teleport, which is actually what makes playing this build so challenging because you don't have the safety net.
Yeah,
of
that's what I
teleport,
noticed.
and you have to rely on having excellent awareness of the map and also all the players around you. And positioning is extremely important for this build, not only to stay alive but also to maximize the amount of damage that you'll do. And I'm going to be talking about the damage rotation and also how you can move around with this build. So next, let's go over the legendary essence that I'm using. For the helmet, I'm using the Terminus Facade. I've already talked about how this works.
So so here the slow time now causes you to enter a temporal flux, causing to your non-channel skills to reduce the cooldown of your other skills and increase your movement speed. Slow time cooldown cannot reduce by easy if So this is gonna pretty much reduce the cooldown of all your skills. Okay, I see.
But basically it allows you to kind of spam your non-channel skills when you use slow time, and each time you press one of your non-channel skills it's going to reduce the cooldown of your other skills, which allows you to recharge them faster. And this
so this is how he's gonna get like that arcane wind going on, right?
This is kind of the core of the build because you want
I'm still learning wizard, so there's a lot to
arcane winds that you do, which is going to allow you to freeze everyone. So next we're using Lisana's Sorrow, which is the chest essence for Frost Field, and this reads that Frost Field now grants you a creeping chill, causing your attacks to chill enemies and freeze them on critical hits.
This is the OP one, right? This is like the shield, the chest piece that everyone uses, because every build that I see they always go with these ones.
And Frost Field cooldown is reduced by 7.2%. So this is an excellent chest. It's one of the new essence which was added, and I definitely recommend if you're playing any kind of PvP build for Wizard to include this into your build, because it just allows you to do all of the CC that you want to do, and in combination with the older crystal for Arcane Wind. I have seen a few players using the chest for lightning over here, which does actually give more damage, but the problem is it doesn't give you the chill effect, which is necessary to kind of activate the freeze effect of Arcane Wind, like I said. So moving on to the Shoulders Essence, I'm using the War Mage Mantle, which if you've seen my Infinite Power build, you'll be already familiar with. It basically allows you...
Disintegrate now launches a small arcane sphere that bounces between your multiple enemies, dealing damage and shattering their armor. Oh, so that's why it's used. So is this like a armor breaker? So armor breaker and the wind, okay.
You'll disintegrate to become a projectile, which bounces between you and multiple enemies, dealing damage.
Is this like the best option for these shoulders? Because I don't know. For me personally, I kind of like when you have like that lightning ray that follows people. But I have no idea. Like
damage and
ultra
shattering their
small.
armor. This is an extremely good essence because it does a lot of damage and also applies an armor break effect. So if you go to the skills menu here, you'll be able to see that if you go to disintegrate here, it says that it shatters their armor and increases the damage they take by 6% for 2 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. So this is really good because it stacks up to 18%, and not only this,
18% more
you
damage.
have a maximum amount of charges of 3, and each time you use one of these charges, it's going to reduce the cooldown.
Okay, but it has to bounce between them. So if the guy is alone, then it is not gonna do anything to you, right? And like it's just gonna do the 6%.
Of all of your other skills, and most importantly the arcane wind freeze. So next let's move on to the pants essence, which is the hasten oblivion, and this one reads that disintegrate's cooldown is reduced by 1.6 seconds when damaging enemies up to a maximum of 4.8. In my opinion, this is a key essence for the build, and I would not replace this for anything else, otherwise you'd be playing a completely different build. This is just so good because basically if you hit stuff with your disintegrate, it just makes your arcane wind completely spammable, and I've been in games where I'm able to cast about 3 arcane wins in a second, which is just insane. This pants essence is really what defines the
I see, because you're using the head essence, and whenever you attack and he bounces, but for each hit is also reducing the cooldown of your arcane wind. I'm understanding like the logic.
Playstyle of this build, and I'm going to be showcasing this in the gameplay. You'll see how important it is. Next, let's go over the main hand essences. So it's very simple here. I'm using Thistle Bloom. In my opinion, this is the best main hand for Arcane Wind. It reads that Arcane Wind now conjures a storm that grows over time, pulling in and damaging in nearby enemies.
All right.
So when you cast this, it's just going to grow larger and larger. And in the BG, where you've got the 2 lanes in the second phase, which is the most important phase, this is really good because it basically covers the whole area. And then next for the Lost Seconds main hand, this is a pretty simple main hand. This just reads that slow time cooldown is reduced by 18.6%.
So you can keep spamming your abilities.
As close slow time cooldown as possible. Remember that in BGs, all of your cooldowns in your stats gets reduced by the Strife effect. So instead of the 11% cooldown that I have in my stats here, is going to be Strife down to 5%, which makes this piece necessary to have this extra cooldown along with the helmet essence.
All right.
Finally, for the offhand essence, I'm using the Older Crystal, which is the Arcane Wind essence, which a lot of you will be familiar with. This is what gives the freeze effect, so it reads that Arcane Wind now also freezes.
So the arcane wind also freezes. So why does it has the chest? Frost. Oh, for the frost field. So frost field now grants you crippling shield, causing your attacks to shield the enemies and freeze them on critical hit rate. So does this stack with this one? It must have, right? Or maybe not. Maybe like these are the other attacks. Maybe it's like for the disintegrate or like the primary attack. Maybe you'll explain.
Shield enemies for 2.4 seconds and cannot occur more often than once every 3 seconds or 5 seconds per player. This is a key essence for this build, and I wouldn't recommend switching out. And then finally, we've got the Rin Raw Amber, which is one of the latest essences we've recently got. And this simply reads that Arcane Wind cooldown is reduced by 18.6%, and it gives another.
Bro, this essence itself gives 28.6% Arcane Wind cooldown decrease. That's wild.
From the awakening. So
that's
the
really
reason
wild.
why I have this is because I want to get the maximum arcane wind cooldown. So if you didn't know, the maximum skill cooldown you can have per skill is 30%. So this alone will give me 28.6%. And if we look at the other arcane wind essence which I have, so this one here, it actually gives 10% arcane wind damage. So it's actually very good, but it doesn't give cooldown. And this one here does give the 10% cooldown here. So in actual fact, I've overcapped my cooldown for arcane wind. So there is an argument to be made that you could potentially switch this essence out for something else. After all, there are some really good essence for arcane wind. So if we take a look here, let's just take a quick look at the offhand essence here and look at arcane wind. So here we've got the unrepentant gale, which is going to give us an extra charge. And this one also gives 13.6 cooldown. This one is really good. And let's have a quick look at the other ones. So the other ones, we also have 30% cooldown reduction. I believe this gives another 10% cooldown. And then this one here, Blood of the Wind, Arcane Wind deals 38% more damage when igniting a firestorm. So this one is probably the best one in my opinion, but the problem is that the Awakening gives Arcane Wind damage rather than Arcane Wind cooldown.
I see.
And in my opinion, the most important thing is to have the constant 30% cooldown on Arcane Wind.
Yeah, because like the whole build, the whole idea is is to pretty much just spam arcane wind 24/7, right? So if you don't have the 30% cooldown, then like the whole build is not gonna work.
This is what makes the build flow, and this is what's going to give you the maximum CC and the maximum damage. So in my opinion, having the Wind Roar Amber, at least for me, made the most sense. So next, let's talk about the set item choices. So for the set item choices, the only thing which I'd say is mandatory is 2 pieces of Vithus.
All right.
So this gives 30% extra beneficial effect duration. If you don't have this, then you'll...
It is not using the 4 pieces. Shad is not using the 4 pieces of winter.
Slow time is going to have too much of a cooldown,
Interesting.
which is going to kind of ruin the whole play style of the build. You really want your slow time to have as close to 100% uptime as possible. I think I have only 1 second downtime of it, and it feels just about okay. So I would really recommend you guys to have this 2-piece Vithus.
Okay.
For the other 6 slots, it's kind of flexible. In my case, I went for 4 pieces of Grace of the Flagellant.
Yeah, it's using 4 pieces Grace because if you see is set, it is like Ignos Scorn, Sweeping Bile, and a Rolling Consequence, and probably you could have even go with a Viper's Bite, like with 4 dots, but it just stacked, you know. He's just like he's stacked because he prefers to go like with a Bloody Reach, which is really nice for if you're a range class, and he has the new Morning Skull, so.
This works really well because of the 4-piece.
But I feel like for me, I will because I don't have the Bloody Reach, it's like too niche for me. I'll probably replace these with the Viper's Bite.
Bonus which says that each time I damage an individual enemy 5 times, I deal extra damage to them, and this just works really well with the damage over time legendary gems, which I'm going to go over.
Yeah.
But if you don't have dot legendary gems, I'd actually recommend you to probably go for 6 pieces of Banquet of Eyes, or maybe 4 pieces of Banquet of Eyes and 2 pieces of something else. So in my case, I've gone for 4 pieces of Grace and
2 pieces of Banquet.
So this is gonna...
Oh, so he's using like 2 pieces of Baron, 2 pieces of Vitus, and 4 pieces of Grace.
Increase the duration of harmful effects, which just boosts my CC, and this works really well if you have high potency. So I'm gonna go over my secondary stats, but in my case, I have...
Jesus, look, bro. Okay, now okay. More. Come on, man. Like, look at these secondaries. But then he has to like 2,000 resonance. I mean, it's not his fault that the game puts like these answers, these legendary gems that is like really good. But of course, like these, you're gonna own the whole BGs, right? So that's like the thing is like, if you've been playing this game for a long time, you're just gonna have these secondary attributes, and it doesn't matter. If you want to change a bit your build, you're gonna have to reduce a bit like the resonance, and then like people will just gonna call you like how do you say, like smurfing, right? Like you are smurfing.
I have 5K.
Which in reality you kind of are, right?
Potency, so I've opted to go for the 2-piece Baron set. So just to recap, I'm using 2-piece Vithu, 2-piece Baron, and 4-piece Grace, and only use Grace if you have a lot of damage over time sources, and I'd only recommend you to use Barons if you have a high potency.
All right.
Let's move on to talk about legendary gems. So unfortunately, I'm not a super high...
So pretty much, I will have to probably make a few changes on my events, and maybe go with a bit more potency. You know, because like my potency isn't the best yet, like that's for sure.
But I've tested it with both 4.5k resonance, and currently I'm only using around 2.3k resonance, and this is because I just want really optimal gems for my setup, and I prefer playing with optimal gems rather than suboptimal 5 stars. So I've got gems like Svensson, Howlers, and also Echoing Shade, but unfortunately they're not very useful for this build at all. You could make the argument that you should probably use auxiliary gems, but I just don't really like the rank 1 effects of auxiliary gems.
Yeah, it's like the rank 1 effects is just not worth it, man. Unless it's like Spiteful Blood, I feel like you want to go with whatever you want to get, and it's just like, just level up, man. I know like a lot of people, they like to go with a very, very cheap like Hellfire and all these other legendary answers, but I don't know. Personally, I think you can do like way more damage and probably have way more fun if you're slightly less optimized, or like less high resonance, and just go for a very optimized setup. You're probably gonna do much better with that.
gems, and I prefer to use ranked up gems, which are actually useful for my build. So this is the reason for low resonance, and I also wanted to prove that the build is viable for low resonance even in whale matches. So this is actually the resonance that I was playing with for most of the clips that you're going to see in this video. So talking
Yeah, okay, but I have to put here a counterpoint. Like, one of the reasons is not really only the resonance, like, because even if your resonance it is lower, your secondaries are secondaries of a whale, you know. So let's just not, like, you know what, like, this is our whale secondaries. This is not like a free to play or a low resonance. It is not gonna have not
my
even
secondary
near these secondaries. Okay, like, I think I'm barely like 4,000, and I'm barely like 3,000, and here it's like I'm 2,000 and something, right? So he wouldn't. What really matters at the end of the day in PvP is your secondaries. So yeah.
next, this is kind of a must-have gem. The flat out damage it gives is just insane. And next, I'm continual damage effects, and because I'm applying a lot of continual damage effects, this pretty much has 100% uptime, and I definitely recommend to use Pain Clasp in your setup if you have it ranked up. Next, I'm using Everlasting Torment. This is a really good gem because it applies the dot effect, and dot gems are really useful for this build. Next, I'm using Blood-Soaked Jade. I'm not even going to bother talking about this. This is kind of a must-have for any build you're going to play.
Yeah, movement
the
speed.
damage it gives is just insane. So next, I'm using Bloody Reach, and this gives you damage while at range, and this is just an okay gem. I would probably switch out for Viper's Bite or Starfire Shard if I had either of those ranked up.
Oh, see? Oh my god. I told you.
Both of those would be better than this, but unfortunately, I had to make do with this one. So as a wizard, you will be at range a lot of the time, but admittedly, this build can actually get closer to enemies. So in that case, this gem isn't going to be all that useful, but for now, this is what I'm using.
It is what it is.
And then next, I've got the Seeping Bile, which is a really nice gem. It applies a continual damage poison effect. And then next, this is kind of a must-have gem.
He actually has like 5 out of 5 Bottle Hope. And he also has a 5 out of 5 Blood-Soaked Jade, man. That's wild. Like literally, chat. That's freaking wild, man.
Use of the
good job,
speed and the damage
good
buff
freaking job
from this gem, so it's just a really good gem to have. Next, I'm using the Roiling Consequence. This is another must-have. So this is really good because it applies the burning effect and it gives you potential to apply Firestorm, which is gonna give you guaranteed critical hits.
This is just
a really good gem to have. When I tried taking it out, I just didn't perform that well. So
he has this at rank 1. That's actually curious. Only rank 1.
Definitely include this gem in the build. And as a side note, I've already mentioned the Starfire Shard, which can also give you another potential source of the burning effect if you have that ranked up, but unfortunately I do not, so I'm not using it. And then finally, I'm using the new gem here, which is the Morn Skull. This is really good because it gives you really high potential of damage, and especially when the barb pulls you into the enemies, you're going to kind of surprise them with the extra damage that you do. This is kind of sleeper OP in my opinion.
It is a sleeper OP. Thank God also Maul says, because I see so many people, oh, you should not build this ramp for your range class. Bro, like, serious, man, do you play this game? Like, a lot of times, even if you're a range class, you're gonna go melee, and then if these triggers, you're gonna do like insane amount of damage. It is really that good.
I didn't expect it to be that good, and I just decided I'd rank it up for a laugh. But honestly, when I actually used it in practice, it actually works incredibly well in the battlegrounds. So,
yeah, because you can, like, whenever these boosts, you feel the power of the Morn Skull. In a lot of gems that you have, you don't feel the power.
My opinion, besides the Bloody Reach, all the gems that I have are very well optimized, so that's why the build works so well. But I'm going to go over
Misery
the
Elixir
notable gems, which could be good for your setup if you do have these, and feel free to use them in the setup. It's going to work very well. Entropic Well is the first one, 1-star gem. And this is really good because it increases your skill damage and also your skill attack speed damage. Most of the damage here is coming from skills rather than primary attacks, so this is what...
Yeah, this is pretty much Arcane Wind all the time, chat.
This gem is really good. Moving on quickly, we've got Misery Elixir. This is
OPness, man. Jesus. Like, this gem, it is so good. It is a 1-star, man. I can't believe like the Misery Elixir is a 1-star.
Because it increases duration of harmful effects. If you have high potency, use this. If you don't have high potency, I would probably skip it. I'm going to skip through a couple of these. They're not really that good. Next, we have Berserker's Eye. This one...
No, don't use this in PvP. Don't use this. You're going to get smashed.
is a really good one. That's probably it for the 1-star gems. I'm
Don't
already
use
using
that one.
Everlasting Torment, so I'm not.
So you get the damage boost, but then you're gonna get like this 5% extra damage that you take is not worth it at all.
Talk too much
Just
about
go
that
with
one.
something else. Go with something else.
So for the 2-star gems, Cold Confidant, this is a really good gem in
This
PvP.
is so annoying, chat. This one, if you guys don't know, like if you ever did PvP and you saw like a massive pillar dropping, like that's it. This is the one.
Has a nice AoE effect. Unfortunately, I don't have this ranked up. Otherwise, I would probably be using it in place of the bloody.
Why? Like, look at this, chat. He has like almost 2,000 fragments. Does Maw know something I don't like? Because he didn't rank up. Like the Morn's call like to rank 8 or I don't know. Maybe you know something that I don't know.
To use. Next, we have Igneous Scorn. This could also be a potential gem to use if you do have it ranked up. Next, we have the Viper's Bite. This is honestly a very nice gem to have because of the dot effects, especially if you're using 4-piece Grace. I wouldn't recommend to skip out on this one.
Yeah, this is really good.
Lament could also be potentially used because of the increased critical hit chance. It's also.
But in PvP, chat, if you can put the one extra dot and avoid using Mother's Lament, I would, especially if you're using a dot base build.
Nice gem to have. I'm using Pain Class. We already talked about that. I think that's honestly it for the 2 stars. That's what I'd probably be using. Next for the 5 stars, let's quickly go over them. So Seeping Bow is good. Bloodsoaked Jade, I would not skip this one.
Yeah.
I would not skip Bottled Hope, and I would not skip Rolling Consequence.
The rest you have maybe Starfire Shard.
Starfire Shard, then I also wouldn't skip this one. So these are the best 4 gems in my opinion for the 5 stars. Frozen Heart and also Spiteful Blood could be decent defensive options, and these gems also give pretty nice bonuses when you do rank them up.
Spiteful Blood,
and then finally, for these last couple of gems, Void Spark, More of the Deep, Hilt of the Many Realms, Storm Vault, and Wolf Heart.
Wolf Heart on this build with dots, it will be like, you know, Wolf Heart procs every 5 hits. The Grace procs every 5 hits. They both engage with each other. You got multiple dots. It's just like crazy amount of damage.
Gems would work absolutely fine for this, and I wouldn't feel too
and
bad.
Also, like, he didn't mention, like, but Void Spark is also really good because we'll spread out your dots through the whole PvP BG.
About using them. If you do have them ranked up, then I would just say go for them. So other than that, I think I've gone through all of the useful gems. If I haven't mentioned a gem here that you're using, then it probably isn't the best for this build. I want to talk about the secondary stats because this is really important. So for this build, the most important secondary stats in my opinion are armor penetration and also potency.
Yeah.
So obviously armor is really important, so you're not super squishy. So I do recommend having at least a little bit of armor. In my case, I only have 1 armor gem here, which is a rank 8. And everything else is
rank 7.
Armor penetration
That's
gem.
impressive.
So I have gone a bit overboard with the armor penetration, but at the end of the day, I like to play the build in this style.
So it's just like going full potency and pretty much like full armor pen,
which is in the style of a glass cannon. So this is why I've gone for the really high armor penetration. And then for the potency, I've got 5k potency.
I need more potency to run these.
Not so important for this specific build. Honestly, I would probably skip this a bit just to increase both your armor pen and your potency. I think that this is going to give you the best results in the battlegrounds. So the other thing to note is that, as you can see here, I've gone for Fortitude and Willpower on most of my gear pieces here. You can see Fortitude, Willpower, Fortitude, Willpower.
Of course.
Fortitude, Willpower, and I've got this pretty much everywhere. And then the same for the set items. I've got Fortitude, Willpower on pretty much every single piece. You can see that for this specific piece here where I've got Fortitude and Willpower, if we click on the Fortitude, I've got 948, and this will increase my armor by 94 and my armor penetration by 94. So basically, every 10 points of Fortitude is going to give you 1 point towards armor and armor penetration, and likewise, every 10 points of Willpower is going to increase your potency by 1 and your resistance by 1. So this is the reason why I've gone for these rather than the Intelligence main stat and also the Vitality main.
And also because farming 2 pieces takes way less time, you know, than triple stat pieces. No, going for like the perfect item takes a lot more time. So, you know, sometimes you're just like, okay, 42 willpower will do.
Main stat. For the Paragon tree, I opted to go for the Gladiator tree. In my opinion, this is the best tree for the Wizard in the current meta because it just has the cheat death. Without this,
he's using Benefactor also. I also use that.
And I definitely recommend having this node is probably one of the most important
Of
ones.
course.
And then grid to the veteran and also to the victor. These two are incredibly important. Don't switch these two
12%
out.
damage.
And then for the last two nodes, I'm using the extra attack speed when I defeat a player and extra critical hit chance when I defeat a player. Both of those could be replaced. Personally, this one is okay to be replaced in my opinion. You could go for either the battle morale here, which gives you increased damage when one of your party members kills an enemy.
Probably, so here is the thing, chat. If you're playing like carry, you should go like with these nodes. But these nodes, if you don't kill anyone, they are completely useless, okay? So check your resonance, check like what are you doing inside the BGs, and if you're like playing support, don't take this. Take, for example, this one, like go a bit more defensive.
Or you could go for the whole formation, which gives you reduced damage when you're nearby a party member. But for now, this is my setup. This is what I like to use. For the legendary skill, what I decided to go for is Benefactor, which says that when you...
I'm afraid because I saw his stats, and I'm afraid like this build may not work for me, man. Because like the difference on the secondaries are so crazy big, man.
Use a buff skill, you gain a shield, and it also gives a shield to nearby allies. In my opinion, this is the best one to use for PvP. I've done multiple tests with both Lightning Rod and...
Like, listen, Benefactor all the way, chat. PvP, is the king.
Roaring Strike, and they're just not that good in my opinion. Benefactor is just the one which consistently gives the best effect. For the Warband room, I'm using the room which gives the increased block chance. This
he's getting the protector. This we know, chat.
This for now, in my
so he's using the
opinion. As far as the curse properties go, I also didn't really bother so much with this.
Yeah, so this is Reforged. It's going okay. It's just like not changing anything. So there's nothing like here too special or too specific for this build. Also here on the cursed, you know, like this, it's not changing anything. Here on the pet, you're just gonna get the savior, and that's pretty much it. Let's see. I want to see the internal gear.
About this. So for the eternal gear properties, there's not really that many which actually make use in this build. So they're not really required. The disintegrate one here doesn't work with the war mage mantle, so it doesn't really help. The only one which could potentially be useful is the arcane wind range increased by 8%. So if you have 4 pieces of that,
he doesn't have, bro. Oh, he doesn't have. Maybe he's focusing on other things.
Increase the range of your arcane wind.
But this is completely OP, chat. It makes your arcane wind like massive.
By 32%. Unfortunately, I don't have any of these pieces to show you guys, but I have seen a couple of friends run this, and what it does is it increases the range of the circle, so it covers more of an area.
Yeah.
So it actually does sound really good. I'm not too sure if that effect gets strifed or not in BGs.
Yeah, it does get strifed. All of them get 66% strifed.
But if it doesn't, then there's even higher potential for this build to be even more crazy. I want to go over the mechanics of this build because I think it's really important.
All right, this is what I want to learn
before you jump into the battlegrounds. So first of all, let's talk about how to move around with this build. So obviously, if I'm moving around like this at base speed, it's pretty slow. The way you move around is you press your slow time, and obviously you don't want to be using your arcane wind because this kind of wastes your charges, and this is going to be your CC and stun.
Right.
But it actually isn't so bad to use your frost field and also your disintegrate. So if we look at the movement rotation that I like to do, obviously you always want to press slow time, and then you press frost field, and then you press your disintegrate. This is going to lower the...
Okay. So this keeps giving you more movement speed. Okay, this is nice.
Cooldown of your frost field. You can press disintegrate once again, and then press frost field, and then press disintegrate. And basically, you want to rotate between frost field.
So you keep bouncing between them, and you just save the arcane winds. Okay.
Disintegrate. So once again, it's slow time.
All right.
Frost field, disintegrate once or twice depending on how you like it, and then frost field once again, and then by that time your slow time should be back up for you to use again, and that's how you move around. So
the goal, chat, is for us to have 100% uptime if we can, or as close to that on the slow time inside PvP.
Anytime you die and you need to get back into combat, this is the rotation that you want to follow. And basically, this is what's going to guarantee that you have the maximum amount of
Morning Skull is so cool
if you want to move towards the next objective. So that's really important to have. So now that we've gone over the movement, I want to go over the damage rotation. So,
all right.
For PvE, it's not really the same as PvP because of the stripe cooldown. So the cooldowns are going to be slightly off here, but I'm going to try my best to show you guys. So you want to always be pressing slow time and frost field pretty much all the time, even when when you're in or out of combat, it doesn't matter. So for thrust field, you're going to have 100% uptime. For slow time, if you're using a similar setup to mine, you're going to have roughly 1 second downtime. So that's fine. But basically, you want to be pressing these all of the time because it's going to guarantee
Always
you
buff
to do
up, boys.
the maximum amount of damage and also be able to spam all of your skills. So it's really crucial for you to keep pressing these two skills. So the other thing is when to press Arcane Wind. So there's two cases where you want to press Arcane Wind. First of all, you can press it just as a warning shot from really far away.
Is it
and
zoning?
This is just to block enemies. So you can just press your slow time, your thrust field, and just warning shot, and then keep moving around. And then get ready to kind of strike at your opponent. So as far as the striking goes, you want to...
Chat, I am getting extremely excited to play this build. Like extremely excited. Not only this one, but mage in general, man. I kind of want to learn. I kind of want to learn.
Go like this, and then obviously spam your Arcane Wind and also your Disintegrate. What's really important
Look
is
at
that
the damage.
You basically want to aim your cursor or your direction of your character towards something just to hit it with Disintegrate. And what this does is it's going to bounce your Disintegrate between you and the target, and also any other targets behind the target, which is just insane. The pants essence, which I've already talked about, which gives you cooldown on your Disintegrate. This is going to make your Disintegrate refresh all the time, and the more casts of Disintegrate you do, the more casts of Arcane Wind you do, and this is kind of the key of this build, is to basically be able to...
So you pretty much buff up, and then you just try to spam Disintegrate and the Arcane Wind.
To infinitely cast Arcane Wind with the use of Disintegrate, and this is basically going to stun CC and also do a huge amount of damage to your enemies. The only way they can get out of it is through kind of CC breaks, like for Tempest or Monk, which can be a problem, but for things like Barb or Crusader, you're absolutely going to be demolishing them. They won't even be able to touch you using a build like this. And the good thing is that once you have a buff...
Yes, I have all the answers for this one. This specific one I have. For the other one, I need one.
Up in target, you can basically use them as a pinata. Even if they kind of proc their Undying Rage, you can keep hitting them with the Disintegrate, kind of as a pinball effect. And what this does is...
Jesus, man. Chat. Chat, please go and drop him a like and subscribe to our boy Mo if you still didn't go there. And please, like, this seems like such a cool build. I am really excited to go and test it out. So if you guys want, please go there. Mo is a great content creator, and with this, thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.